first time I've been to the Guitar Summit. How many of you is this the first time for? Okay, cool, lots of newbies. I'm one of you, this is great. Thank you all so much for coming and hanging out with me for, I think it's 45 minutes. And I also found out that I was actually doing this yesterday, more or less. Because I have a masterclass this evening, and that's what I originally thought I was doing, but no, I was also doing this, which is great, so I'm here to talk to you guys. It's a Victory Amps workshop, however, there is only one Victory amp here. So in terms of a workshop and, you know, like an in-depth look over all the different models and all the things that make each amp unique, that's not going to happen. However, I have one Victory amp with me, which is the one that I use almost exclusively with Victory, and I had the pleasure of helping design this amplifier with Martin Kidd, who is the genius that is Victory Amps. He designs everything, so I was asked to come in and collaborate on an amplifier, not for any kind of flashy signature thing, it's literally just they wanted me to join in helping design the way it sounds, which is what it is. So this is a 50 watt all tube head, and it's really loud. And I love it. It's based off a couple of my favourite amplifiers, and I find for anything modern and heavy, it's very good at delivering that, but also it can clean up and do some nice softer tones as well, which is something I like to do as well. Even though on the same channel, you could have. Can you tell I like reverb? It's one of the things I like the most in life. But yeah, you know, the remit with the amp was for it to do more than what it says on the tin, which is, you know, it's meant to be for heavier stuff and high gain stuff, but really it can do, if you plug a Fender Strat into this, it sounds really nice, and that's what I do a lot of the time when I'm at home. But yeah, as it's a Victory workshop, usually I like to get people to ask questions about anything they want to talk about, whether it's to do with gear or playing or whatever. I'm not sure how easy that is in this room, considering it's quite large and there are a lot of people. But with that in mind, does anyone have any questions regarding anything? Yes, sir.
Your reverb sounds really nice. So
thank you.
Is it in the amp or is it a stop-on system?
So the amp doesn't come with reverb. The reverb that I've got on the floor is the Walrus Audio Fathom reverb, which I really, really like. I'm a huge fan of Walrus. I've downloaded a lot of their gear and worked with them for a few years. And this is the one that, when I'm doing something like this, where I have to fly just with a guitar, and there'll be an amp at the venue, wherever that is, I'll throw this in the bag, because it's small, and it's great, and it sounds really nice. It's got a bunch of different modes, and I normally just dial in the one thing that I like. And it's nice, it's dreamy. But it's a lot, you know, that was for that song. Yeah. Anyone got anything else they want to ask? Yes.
So sorry, I wanted to ask, I think your live setup is using 2 amps.
Yeah.
And so do you set up them then differently?
So yeah, Rightly so. When I play with these live, I use 2 in stereo because it's always better to have more, right? Isn't that what Ingve said? More is more, I believe, was the phrase. So that's, you know, taking a leaf out of Ingve's book, and I use 2 in stereo, in true stereo. So I have 2 of them set up, and then I run, normally on my pedal board I use like Strymon reverb and delay, which I link to both amplifiers, and then you get a really nice wide, much louder sounding amplifier. It's great, it's a lot of fun. Although the band are less impressed, because I actually started using the 100 watt version, but 2 of those instead. So there's a lot of amp on stage now when we play. But yeah, generally I'll blend the 2 channels, because one channel is based around a kind of British Marshally kind of tone, and then the other channel is based on more of an American high gain thing. So I always have them opposites. So you always get a nice blend. And also, Victory amps can take either 6L6 or EL34 tubes. So I have one with 6L6 and then one with EL34, so that you're always blending. I like to blend. Yes, someone over there had you had a question. Okay, this is a D standard, but then I drop the bottom string, so it's drop C. The string gauge is 11 to 16. Sorry, sometimes I do that. Yeah, like I say, it's more of a Victory Amps workshop, so if you've got anything you want to ask about Victory Amps, or you'd just like me to talk at you for the next half an hour, I can do that too. I can just talk and play and do nothing. We don't have to do this, but I'm enjoying myself. Does anyone know? I see there's a guy with a question there.
Yes, but it's not a question about Victory Amps, sorry.
Okay.
You had tuned once while the song, so did you ever consider to use an Evertune system, or do you have experience with Evertune system?
Evertune system,
Yeah.
they're great in the studio, and I can understand a lot of people enjoy the way it works. For me personally, I don't dislike Evertune. I think they're really crucial for a lot of reasons. But for me, I just don't. I find that, to be honest, there's so much wood gets taken out of the guitar, and we all know that the tone of the wood makes a difference to the sound of the guitar, right? Or do we not agree with that? I'm not opening that kind of worms, just saying. But my point being that, in my opinion, it does affect it. Whether or not that's right or wrong is irrelevant. But for me, if there's that much wood taken away from the guitar, for me, I feel it affects it in some way. And I like wood. So I choose not to use it. And also, it was my mistake to not tune properly, because my tuner that I put on my headstock is in my hotel room, and I'm an asshole that didn't bring it with me. So I had to do it on the fly. But yeah, no, they're cool. Evertune systems are cool. I think in the studio they're really important, because sometimes the performance is based around how hard someone's going at it, you know what I mean? And with an Evertune system you can do that without it detuning, so you can really give it as much as you want and it's going to stay in tune. I believe that's great on recording, because sometimes in the studio when you can't get your guitar in tune, even though the tuner says it's in tune, it's lying. And something in the studio is deciding to mess with us and our heads and our guitars. So that's where I think they're most valuable for me, personally.
When you record in the studios, did you also use the same amp, or did you use multiple amps?
For recording, it's multiple amps, but there's always, particularly anything heavy, anything with a lot of gain, there'll always be on either side a Victory amp. So you'll always hear the Victory Kraken blended with. On the last album I recorded last year, we had Diesel, Victory, KSR, and Victory on either side. So you always have Victory sound. I just realised, some of you have no idea who I am. Which is great, which is fine. My name's Rabea. I'm a guitar player from the UK. I work with Victory Amps, Chapman Guitars. I have a YouTube channel, which is where I spend most of my time when I'm not on the road with my bands touring. I play in a band called Tosca, which is one of the tracks you just heard, which was we're an instrumental prog band, so it's a really small amount of people that enjoy it, basically. But we enjoy it. And then I also play in a band called Dorje with Rob Chapman, and another band as well called Frog Leap with Leo Maracchioli, if you know who that is. Frog Leap Studios. So we play live with him as well, which has been a lot of fun. So you have a question?
Yes, and my question is about Frog Leap and this project.
Yeah.
You told your fans of Tosca that the question if there is no singer, you didn't find the right one.
No.
And the first thought was me, I thought, hey, Frogman guy, this is the right
Leo
on Tosca. Why he isn't?
Well, because he has his own project that's every week for the last 4 years he's released a video. So he's very committed to that. His family, he lives in Norway. A couple of little things that make it more difficult. And also, Leo's a little bit older than we are, and some of the influences that we were looking for in a vocalist were different to... Leo can really do what Leo does really well, and it works for, say, 50% of our material. And we talked about it, and we did actually do some demos and stuff. But the other side of it, the sort of more singing and some of that side of things, we were very specific. We basically asked for Chris Cornell, Corey Taylor, Brandon Boyd from Incubus, and Ian Kenny from Carnival. 4 really, really great vocalists, right? So when you're going around, people are like, yeah, what are you looking for in a singer? You're like, blah, 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 and they go, yeah, no, I'm sorry. So that's why we were unlucky. So, yes?
It's one question like you. At the first time I saw you in a video was with Leo and the metal cover of Africa.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and like it has that killer riff at the end of the music video, if you remember that.
Yeah.
Like, I was curious how it sounds live on the Victory amp.
Okay.
Like,
In other words, can you play that song? Well, to tell you the honest truth, no, because it's not in this tuning, but I'll play the riff without any backing track for you. So it goes like... It's like your archetypal sort of metalcore riff, but it also it starts like up higher, like, which is
that's what Leo doing, yeah?
yeah, that's the riff. It's a lot of fun, particularly live. That's the one we actually do it at the end of Africa live as well. So.